Oh, yay. I'm live. Hey, guys. Sorry, I tried to get on before and it said live streaming not available. So, this time, good? Okay. Cool. Make sure. So I haven't got screen share today, so should be no problems with the comments. Let me just pop down here. Oh, there goes my little. Still haven't turned off my notifications. Make sure everything is okay. Cool. Okay. Awesome. So this is our weekly Q&A on YouTube. I will be able to stream to Facebook as well. I'm going to have a go at that next week. So you can sort of multi-stream. But at the moment, I'm on YouTube, and then I'll share the replay onto Facebook. So let me just get my settings. Live chat. Okay. Cool. Okay, awesome. So I'll just wait for some people to hop on, and I have a question to answer from Paula. Hey, Paula. Let me just go into Facebook and I'll find the question. So yeah, sorry, I've been a little bit quiet in the group because I have not been well at all. Like so many of us at the moment, so many people have been sick, and I have really been struggling the last few weeks. So yeah, I apologize for not being as active as I normally am in the group. It's a bugger when you're sick and you've still got so much to do, and I've got so many horses to take care of. So I'll just do this. Okay. I'll just go into Paula's question. And if when you pop on, if you have a question you'd like to ask me, just pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to be able to answer it for you. Let me just go into comments here. Okay. Where's our group? Yeah, oh, wrong one. Whoops. Okay. Awesome. Okay, sorry, I'm just finding my question here from Paula. I am live, aren't I? Yep, am live. I just wanted to make sure. No, okay. Okie dokie. So this is, so what I'm answering is a question from Paula. Paula, let me know if you are on the live. I hope, let me know if you're here, if you can pop a comment in, because last week I had problems with the comments. You weren't able to, I couldn't see your comments and vice versa. So I'd really like to know if you can send a comment, send it so I can check whether I can read or not read them. Let me just pop this. Oh, where have I gone? Okay, we don't want to go there. Make sure that. Okay. So this is Paula's question. So Paula, I'll read out your question because we discussed in our last Q&A, we discussed pasture. I went through, did a screen share on all the different pastures. Hey, Paula, how are you? Awesome. I'm so glad that you can comment and I can read your comment. I had live stream went a little bit, it's a bit on and off, so I hope the connection is okay. It took me a second go to be able to go live. So hopefully the connection's okay and all good. So I'm going to answer your question, Paula. Thank you so much for sharing that information on chia seeds. That's really interesting. It's always something to learn, isn't it? So I presume, have you stopped giving the chia seeds now? I wonder why I changed it. There shouldn't be a 10-second delay. Oh my God, tech is so yeah, yes, no more chai. I'll wait for your comments to come through because I didn't put a delay on the comments, but I ticked the, the not delay, but anyway. So that's really interesting about the chai seeds. And I suppose, like in another food that really affects horses is some horses is speedy beet. If you feed speedy beet and your horse is really like on edge and spooky and everything, it has speedy beet can really send some horses off their tree. Some people say that their horses have turned like literally into fire-breathing dragons from speedy beet or micro beet. So that's something, even though it's promoted and sold and it is a cool energy feed, it's actually a very high energy feed. It absorbs into, but they can absorb the energy very fast. It goes into the bloodstream. It gives them a good amount of energy, but it can really heat some horses up. So that's something to really think about. I've never had a problem myself with feeding speedy beet. Not that I feed it actually, but for other reasons. But I know some horses can really go off their tree. So same with chai. It's just interesting, isn't it? I like to stick to, I think just sticking to, I mean, I love lupins, as you know. Yeah, do they? Okay, no, I've never heard of lupins sending horses crazy, but yeah. There's and lucerne too. So lucerne's a really interesting one that people say that their horses really go off their tree with lucerne. I wonder. I don't think you can hear my little notifications on my laptop because I'm not screen sharing here. But I'll just read out your question, Paula, and then I'll talk about what I'm doing. And I actually have something to put to everybody as well to see if they're interested. But I'll read it out. Can you please talk about what you do with your horses with regards to grazing? With certain pasture not being ideal for horses, such as the clover, rye, and capeweed, do you think we need to keep the horses off it entirely or give limited access, example, an hour or two every day or every second day? I understand that it depends on each individual situation and getting mineral levels right is so important. So that's so true. But I'd love to hear how you manage your herd and how long you kept them off pasture after some came down with big head syndrome. Yeah, well, they've still got big head, and it's just been, it's going to take about a year. I do still have them on pasture, but that is just until I work out how to get them off. I'll talk to you about that. Yeah, so you mentioned the chia seeds. So that's really interesting how tryptophan can cause excitement. There we go. And it's interesting too, it's particularly over in the US, I've noticed a lot of their feeds they have herbally type of feeds. So one of the feeds that over there is I saw has Siberian ginseng and Panax ginseng in it. So I can't really imagine how that could really trigger some horses, giving them herbs like that, because Siberian ginseng and Panax ginseng in particular is a real energy sort of boosting herb tonic. So yeah, but I haven't seen that in Australian feeds, but I have seen that quite a lot in in feeds over in the United States when people send me what they feed their horses. So I think just sticking really to simple known and proven feeds. Well, we know lupins is really good, though obviously some horses can react to that. When it comes to pasture, well, this is interesting. So I will explain my situation, and I really am on a big learning curve and have been for the last couple of years with pasture. And I've been speaking to Jenny Patterson from Calm Healthy Horses. So, Paula, did you get your supplement from Jenny? Have you spoken to Jenny Patterson from Calm Healthy Horses? Or did you just buy the supplement after reading the articles? So it's, I'll wait for your comment to come up because I know there's a bit of a delay, but, oh, you ordered it online from Green Pet. Okay, awesome. So it's a big, don't bark, Lulu. It's such a big learning curve for me. So with my situation, I'm still, I've, as I said, over the last 2 years, Lulu, I've had so many problems with pasture and really, Lulu, here, I got my dog in, and really and I'm looking back at, over the last 7 years, and probably like even earlier, though, up on the Central Coast and that, I didn't have a lot of pasture. I had my own spelling business. So they were sort of in smaller paddocks where pasture wasn't really an issue. But since having the mountain herd situation for the last, look, I'm just going to say the last 9 years, I've sort of had this situation. I'm looking back and seeing symptoms, particularly in Tommy, which were pasture related, like the head shaking and the head flicking, obviously laminitis with my poor Toby, and then me being a big grain feeder back then. That was horrendous. So it's been a huge learning curve for me, and more so the pasture now in the last 2 years. And I have done a lot of research and also has been speaking to a lot of equine nutritionists. And when it's, my take is on it, and also it seems with Jenny Patterson, and a few other, it seems green grass is not good for horses generally. Green grass is not good for horses unless it's dried out and it's turned into the, it's gone brown. Your green grass is not good for horses. So I think that, yeah, that's interesting that she looked like she was constantly in season with the hormones. Well, I have one of my boys. I mean, I've got all different symptoms, but Tommy in particular has had terrible, terrible problems with the pasture. He's got, I've got three with Pacific, really big head, the raised forehead. I've got lumps appeared over the last year and just horrible. But it's so much involved to it, and I think that it's the what am I trying to say here? The mineral balances and the, oh my God, the harmony. I've got a word, but it's, to have all their mineral, the macro and micro minerals and everything needs to be in harmony in their system. And if one thing's out, the other's going to go out. And it is mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing. And I have, like a few other things, as you go down a path, I'm really drawn to not having them on pasture at all. That's my goal. Now, I'm if I had safe pastures and if it was brown, so for what I would recommend is if you've got the browned off pasture, and it's you can get your pasture checked. So is this your property? Is this your own place, Paula? Because if it's your own place, you can do a lot with the pasture yourself. Well, not a lot, but you can definitely spray to get rid of the weeds. So I wouldn't be putting her on any pasture at all. I'd be keeping her off anything where she's eating capeweed. You don't want her to be eating capeweed because you'll end up with string halt and things like that. As a high risk. So you can spray to get rid of the capeweed. I'm not a real pasture guru, but oh no, that's a little notification. But kept them off the bigger paddock. Yeah, so I would spray for the capeweed and that. And also what you can do is you can get your pasture tested. But if it's your own place, you have got a bit of leeway with what to do with it. Whereas here, this property is an adjustment. I live here and lease here. So I don't have a lot of leeway with what to do with the pasture. But, and also too, regardless of even if I did, it is ex-sheep cattle high production pasture, so it's definitely the worst place that I've been on when it comes to my horses reacting to pasture due to the type of pasture I have, which is phalaris and ryegrass. I personally think pasture is bad for horses all up when it comes to these high production grasses. Yeah, ex-sheep cattle too. That's probably why you're having a big problem. You've got the high production grasses by the look of it. You can get, so a friend of mine is an agronomist, and I did send quite a few samples of my grass just through screenshots to him, and he identified some of the grasses. But you can get your pasture tested. You can get your soil tested. So you can probably do a little bit with your pasture, Paula. But at the moment, it's definitely unsuitable for them. So I would, and loads of rye. Well, I think rye is, unless it's dried out, but there just seems to be so many negatives. And once again, I'm not an expert on this, but you know what I've been doing is talking to Jenny Patterson. So, and I wanted to put, I'm sure you'll be really interested, Paula, and I'm sure Sarah Becker and quite a few other people would be as well. But would you be interested in, I know you would be. I spoke to Jenny this week because she's so knowledgeable on pasture. So Jenny is the founder of Calm Healthy Horses, and she is willing to do a live webinar, a Zoom session with Jenny and talking about pasture and equine nutrition and all of that. So I'm going to put up something in the Facebook and on my Facebook page to see who would be interested in attending a webinar free with Jenny, and we'll go through and talk about, she's so knowledgeable, all about pastures, how it affects your horses, what she would recommend. She's just wonderful. And I said to her, we're both horsey people, and we're both not really digitally savvy, but she's so knowledgeable. And I said, look, we could work out something together, because doing the Zoom sessions is such a wonderful opportunity to be able to reach everybody. And if we bung it up, we bung it up. If we make some mistakes, but we can definitely have a chat. So she'll put together a presentation. So let's organize that. After today, when I finish the live, I'll pop up a post and see who's interested. Then I'll talk to Jenny, and she's just, like, I spoke to her on the phone for about an hour and a half. Was it on Monday? And I said, I'm just so it's such a big learning curve. Hey, Sarah Becker, how are you come up as Twaffy? Are you Twaffy? There you go. And Jenny's like, she wants to reach out. So she's like me. We're the older horsey people who are learning all this digital savvy world. So I said, another account. Cool. I've got another account on Facebook for when Twaffy. There you go. That's pretty cute. My nickname's Kaz, or that's what they used to always call me when I was Kaz at the race course, and everywhere I've worked, Kaz. My sister calls me Cassie. But okay, so let's organize a Zoom webinar with Jenny. She'll be really excited when I tell her. And as I said, this is all a big learning curve for me, the whole learning online. And I've been really sick. I've been really sick the last few weeks. And so I've got my, I'm also redoing. So I'm redoing we've got the online course, but the community that's going through a change as I speak, because I'm going to be changing the online courses to another platform where the initial Off the Track Thoroughbred Success Kickstart roadmap is, and then we're doing the community in a different way. So all our courses, so everyone that's in the community has into the academy is going to have, we'll have all different courses. I'm actually started one with Nina as well. I've got 3 videos now of Nina, so lots of content. I've just got to get myself organized. But anyway, let's go back to the workshop with Jenny. So I'll organize that. We'll do a webinar with Jenny. Now, I've been speaking to Jenny this week quite a few times, because I reached out to her about a year ago with my horrendous problems with the pasture. And I'm really at the, for me and myself, and also Paula, with you being on Next Sheep and Cattle, though you can do something with, Jenny would be great to speak to in regards to what you can do, Paula, with your property. There's something called, and this is what my plan and goal is, which is more tricky with 20 horses, having heard of them, but it's called a dry track. So Paddock Paradise. And I initially rang Jenny. She's over in New Zealand, Jenny, but I know she'd have some knowledge on it. So what it is, it's horses. So you get your horse off the pasture, but it's called a Paddock Paradise. And if you Google it, you'll just see this amazing dry track system that they can create for like huge horses. So it's called, you create a dry lot. So you get your horses off the pasture around, and you create a Paddock Paradise system where you're making big tracks all around your property. And you could probably do this, Paula. And it's amazing. You can be really creative. And you're making paths, and then through like a track you make off the track, you'll create dry lot areas where horses can rest. Obviously with me, it's going to be more intense. I need a larger area and bigger areas, but you're creating a dry lot and a path, a dry track all around your property that is grass free. So you can have, for instance, in the middle of one of my paddocks, I like to have that as a show jump, like a working training area, and I don't want that to be turned into sort of dirt. But it's called the Paddock Paradise system. And I'll see if I can, I should have done it. Oh, I don't really, I'll just go onto my phone. Paddock Paradise. Here we go. He's actually got a wet, but this is my goal. So this is what, even when I own my own property, this is what I'm going to do. I have decided that the green pasture, unless you've got native pasture, is unsafe for horses. I've had too many problems. I've been absolutely, I just see too many issues coming up with green grass. And I really like the Paddock Paradise idea of creating tracks around your property, and then areas off it that your horses can roam on. I'll just see. It was originated by a US. I'll just show you. If you Google Paddock Paradise, you'll just see some amazing. But that's my favorite. So that's Paddock Paradise. He was the original founder of it. He's got a book out. Paddock Paradise is a concept based on the lifestyles of the wild and free-roaming horses living naturally in the US Great Basin. So this is the American Mustang. Yeah, got to have desert-like property. That's what we want. You know, it's amazing, Sarah Becky. You know, when I first came out here, I saw, oh my God, 42 degrees. But I saw all this green grass when I moved out here, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just, oh, this is heaven, all this feed from my horses. And and it's been a nightmare. But once again, we always look at everything that happens. It's a learning curve, and it's an opportunity to gain knowledge. And I look now at so many issues that people have with their horses and how it's diet related, including pasture related. But you want that dry basin unless you've got, so look at this photo, and I should have, I'll do, screen sharing is great, but if you can see this photo, that is natural pasture for horses. That's what we want, that real dry type of, that's what horses are designed to eat. They're not designed for this green lush pasture. Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, the experience that I have gained, you know, and my struggles in so many areas, is ended up being valuable. So, and I like to share all my knowledge. I really do. So let's have a look at the Paddock Paradise. So it was first conceived as a way to provide domestic horses with an environment that more closely resembles their natural habitat. The principal goal of Paddock Paradise is to facilitate health and soundness, both physical and mental, in our horses. In fact, it is an ideal preventative to many of the illnesses and disorders plaguing domestic equines who are forced to live in stalls or other forms of close confinement, or equally hazardous in lush, sugar-laden grass pastures. So, Paula, this is what, and, you know, the green grass is full of sugar and fructans, particularly the pasture that we have is a high fructan, if I'm pronouncing that right. So fructans is a type of sugar that is not easily digested in the horses, by the horse's digestive system, and hence it causes a lot of hindgut issues. Now, I spoke to Jenny about this, and I was getting a bit confused between whether it causes acidosis or does something, but it causes a lot of imbalances. She's so knowledgeable, Jenny, so I'll follow up with a webinar with her. But let's go to, yes, equally hazardous, lush, sugar-laden grass pastures. In fact, a genuine paddock paradise can virtually eliminate the risk of laminitis, colic, navicular syndrome, Cushing syndrome, and other debilitating conditions caused by an unnatural lifestyle and diet. As well, it allows horses to eat as they do in nature on the move. So you'll look at how, a lot of our way that we keep our horses is, one, we've got them on very green, lush pasture, which is bad. Two, we have them just in a square paddock. Okay, so they're not. So it is. What's his name? This gentleman. I'll show you the book because I'm going to buy it. I can't remember his name, but he's the founder of it. So he's looked at how horses naturally roam and graze. Well, we know horses are herd animals. We know that they roam. That they need the more they're designed to be eating low sugar, dry, low nutritious pasture. Not this highly sugar laden pasture. And so the Paddock Paradise system, so suppose Sally goes on the green yard midday and by early evening he wants to go back to his dry yard. He knows, they know. And also too, I've had horses that have had the option of green, lush pasture, and then the dry I was feeding them sort of this very dry hay at one stage, and they would go for the dry hay because they're craving the fiber forage of it. The green lush grass is full of water and sugar. It doesn't have that fiber content that they get from your dry hays and dry pasture. So this is what the concept is about. Now, the concept of the Paddock Paradise, the concept is you create a track around your pasture. So instead of them just being blobbed into just this pasture, you're creating a track. So you create a track around that they can follow through. You place some feeding stations where they can eat hay, lots and lots of hay. So around the track, you place feeding stations all around. So they're roaming, they're walking, they're stopped to eat, and they continually to roam. You vary, this is depending on how creative you can get with it, but vary with different subsurfaces. So this is obviously getting really full on into it. Vary with different subsurfaces to mimic the more natural ground surfaces. So I suppose, you're putting some, if you wanted to really create this amazing paddock paradise, you can put different types of surfaces from rocky to sand where they can roll to more firm, hard ground. So it's mimicking their natural environment, good for their feet. So obviously horses walking continually on, just grass is going to make, it doesn't rasp down their feet. So we're looking at this sort of creating a natural environment for them and make life interesting for your horse, challenge your horse. So create a track which is about 10 to 15 wide, diet, so creating their natural feeding behavior. So something to Google, Paddock Paradise. Let me just go back here. The author, so his name is Jamie Jackson. I think he's done hoof care books as well. So Jamie Jackson is a 40-year-old veteran hoof care professional, author, researcher, and noted expert on both wild and domestic horses. So he's a pioneer in the practice of natural horse care. So he's regularly traveled to the US Great Basin from 1982 to 86 to spend time observing the horses in their natural environment, as well as gathering specific data on their hooves with the assistance of the US government. So, he's very knowledgeable in this way. I always take whatever I read and discern it. I don't take everything as gospel Bible, but this is excellent. I've done quite a few people, and it's just showing here. You can see how naturally these wild horses have created a path. So they generally like to roam horses instead of just being blobbed into sort of like this paddock. So this is my goal. Let me just see if I can, is to create a paddock paradise for my horses And particularly because I have so many horses, this is still going to be my goal when I own my own property, is to create this system, because I just think pasture in general is green pasture is not good for horses, and unless you actually have native horse pasture and it being very dry, it's not saying you can never put your horses on pasture, but I think the especially if it's green, okay, once it dries out you can, but not when it's green. It's not, the thing is, it's not going to do them any good. It's just going to cause more issues. So I'm not going to say, and me not being the expert, once again, Jenny's more of an expert, another equine nutritionist. But in saying that, a lot of equine nutritionists aren't addressing the pasture side of it. So that's why I think doing your research, which I always do, and then taking what fits in and taking what works for me and what I've learned anyway. So a lot of equine nutritionists do not consider the whole pasture aspect. And this is particularly with Feed XL, for instance. I really like Feed XL, but it doesn't take in pasture related issues. So you've got to be use critical thinking and discern, put everything together like a bit of a puzzle. So let me just do the pasture. Let me just do Pasture Paradise and see if I can find some more examples. This is another. This is Paddock Paradise. Paddock Paradise, yeah. So the Paddock Paradise concept is to fence off a laneway around the perimeter of your paddock. Well, you can use electric tape or similar around the whole property. Depending on the sugar sensitivity of your horses, you may find a way to remove the grass on their grazing, or their grazing may be limited. Anyway, let's just see. This is a bit of a... trying to find some photos, but Paddock Paradise. Let me just, here we go. This is okay. I can't, I know it's a bit tricky. I'm not screen sharing today, but if you can, so see how here, this photo, they've created a pathway around the property and you can see horses there. So its inside is green, but the horses are on this, it goes all the way around the property. And the thing is, you don't have a great deal of space. Yeah, you don't need a great deal of space. Neither do I, and I've got 20 horses. But I do have a 100-meter track between two paddocks, which work quite well. Yeah, I love the look of the Paddock Paradise system, and you can be really creative. And the thing is, you don't need a great deal of space because they can keep going around. And then you can have sections. I even have noticed, to see how that is like, it goes around the paddock and the horses, you can have like feeding stations on the way there. I don't have a great deal of space either, but you can be really creative. And the more like, I'll get Jenny, because Jenny knows about the Paddock Paradise system. So I said to her, we could get Jenny in a few times, talk about the Paddock Paradise system for a start. Or one, I don't think we'll do Paddock Paradise first, but we'll talk about pasture, I think, but she's quite knowledgeable in the Paddock Paradise system. So we'll get her in a few times and talk about certain topics. But you can see how that's it. Now, that's my goal. And then the horses can just go around. So you don't really need lots of, it's more about being creative. I really like this one, actually. So I'm going to just save that photo. Let's see if I can view more images. So here's another one. So this is what someone's done here. Well, let's see if I can get this photo up. I've only haven't got my phone here. Whoop, how do I? Oh, here we go. So see how this is just a thing, but see how that all that green, they've created a Paddock Paradise system around their property. And you can make, so I've even got some good areas to start with myself. But I really I think this idea is fantastic, and I think it's probably going to, I know it's, there's another, so let me just see if I can get this. So this one here, what is a track system? So let's see if we can open up this one. So this is just a little photo. Someone else has set up a track system. So there's a station where on the track system, they've got hay nets on poles and the horses can just stop and eat. And then, yeah, you can put plans for shelters. Now, I don't know. Trees, well, they definitely plan for shelters. Well, trees, so for instance here, they do recommend shelter. I don't have shelters for my, see how trees there, so definitely shelter. You need shelter along your Paddock Paradise. Yeah. I need shelter. Well, what you might have to do is where you've only got where the green, and me too, actually, is you can really mow down the lawn or even kill it. And Jenny, I mentioned to this Jenny as well, you can kill your grass. But the thing is, and depending if you lease, you know, grass comes back. Yeah, you've got designing to do, Paula. So have I. I'm going to get right into it. And I'll get Jenny on to talk about it. But Googling it, I Googled it, and I'm gonna buy the book. I'll just see if I find the link. But it's such a wonderful idea. Here we go. Someone's even put poles. So here's on there, and I mean, there's a bit of green. I'm gonna have a bit of green on mine, but see how someone's put poles down on their track system. So get the horse to walk over poles, and then you have little areas off it. Where you can have a dry lot. And then I've got trees, so I don't have actual shelters, but I'll make my tree areas part of it. And I notice even with my horses, because they can go up, I'm going to have to keep them off the top pastures. But they sort of follow a track system. They come down. So I do notice myself that they definitely like the track systems. So here's someone here. So this is the Laminitis site they have. You go onto the Laminitis site and they have track systems. It doesn't have to be anything. Track systems. So lots of, you just Google it and you'll see here track systems, the way to manage horses. So let's have a look at this one. So many. Oh, here we go. Here's another one they've created. So this one here, you'll see up here, that's someone else up there. See, they've created a track system around their property. That's quite a big property, but see what they've done. So a bit of what's the word? Architecture or something into it, but quite a, and look at this one. So see, look at this one. So this one, let me see if I can Google this one. Can I save it? Add to photos. Awesome. Let's see this one. Oh gosh, there's so many. But oh, what have I done? Oh, that was a good one. I've lost it. And that one. Oh, here's the book. I'm saving a few to photos so I can go. My photos. Yeah, so look at that one. So they've done that, and then they've got an arena in the middle where they can go in. So see that, if you can see how they've sort of designed it. Yeah, you can be really creative. They've even got a little roundabout there. And is this one? So this is the book. Now, this is the gentleman, Jamie Jackson, so that's the book. Sorry, I can't see, but Paddock Paradise by Jamie Jackson. That's the original book, but I think he goes into all the benefits of it. I don't think it's very expensive, so it'd be worth getting, but that's my goal. The Paddock Paradise system is what I am deciding to go with after looking at how negative grass is for horses. And let me just see if I can find, that's the images. See if I can find another one. The natural world. I mean, it doesn't have to be. So let me just have a look. The initial track I built. So here we go. Here's the initial track built with gravel spread along the area they like to stand. So this is where, so you get them off as much as, I mean, I'm going to, so see how he's sort of got an area, open area. He's made a gravel track and there's a bit of green grass there, but that grass disappears pretty fast. So anyway, that is the Paddock Paradise system, and that's where I'm going with it. So my goal is to get my horses off the grass completely. At the moment, what they do is they come in of a daytime in their yards, and I feed them their ad lib Rhodes hay, and they've got lucerne hay. I'm fine with lucerne hay. I feed actually a haylage most of the time. It's called Manuka haylage. I feed that. So it's like a fermented type of lucerne hay. And then they go out of an evening on the pasture at the moment. But that's only because I haven't got any. I've got too many horses to be able to put them. I've had to have them locked up in a dry lot. It turned completely boggy. So I try and keep them off the pasture as much as possible, the long stuff. But what I'm getting prepared for is the spring season coming in. Spring, autumn is a nightmare. So I'm going to start to create the Paddock Paradise system, a track for them, so that ultimately they're off the pasture completely. So at the moment they go out of an evening. It is a bit dry here. Luckily we actually haven't had much rain, so it is a little bit dry. I haven't got, it is still green grass, but there's the browner grass that's up through it as well. So they're okay at the moment, but not ideal for me with them having big head. So I don't want them on it. And my goal is to have them off it completely and onto a Paddock Paradise system. So that's me. That's my goal. That's what I plan to do. So what I'll do is I will talk to Jenny and we'll organize some Zoom session webinars. So I'll put up a post, but what topic? So what, I'll get her to put some topics together, but what would you like her to talk about? Because she said she could just talk for about 5 hours, and I can as well, as we know from my last Q&A. We went through the whole the whole website with it. So I'll put up a post in the group, but if you can, we'll work out some topics and we'll give Jenny a topic to talk about. Let me know, and I'll put it to her. I'll have a sip of my coffee. I'll just see if I can find the Paddock Paradise walk for you to link. Paddock Paradise book. And if you can go on YouTube, there's here it is, Booktopia. There we go. $36. I mean, you don't have to get the book. It's just that's Paddock Paradise. Booktopia has it. But yeah, if you're interested, yeah, it's a great solution, isn't it? Like I was just, I know a friend of mine, my trimmer actually, so she has a Paddock Paradise system for her 15 mini ponies. Yeah, the varying minerals. So you've got, you probably, you want to make sure that his mineral levels. So if Sailor's on a lot of green pasture, you're going to have to worry about, or getting a fair amount of green pasture, you definitely need to worry about the mineral levels and if they're affecting his system. But if he's not on a lot of green pasture and you've got a balanced diet, do you give a mineral supplement? Yeah. You don't need to worry. I mean, you can put it. Yeah, exactly. I'm not really up to date with all the soils. My soil is from what, without having it tested, but from basically what we've identified, very, very high in nitrates and phosphorus. Now, Paula, yours could be as well, being sheep and cattle, depending on how much fertilizing they've done. But I know with my property, they were always, well, they're still across the road. They're continually sort of ploughing it up and re-sowing. So my soil and hence then the pasture is very, very high in nitrates, and the soil's very high in phosphorus. Excess phosphorus will block calcium absorption. So even though I'm not on the oxalate pastures, so the pastures that cause block calcium absorption, which hence cause big head, which you get up in Queensland and down to Victoria, I have another problem which has been blocking the calcium absorption. So, and this is why Feed Excel doesn't cover the broad range. So, Sarah, you could put, Sarah Becker, you could put your diet in Feed Excel, or I can do it for you. Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to put your diet through Feed Excel for you to make sure that he's balanced all up with his minerals. And if he's not on a lot of green pasture, you shouldn't have a problem. But yeah, as Paula knows, Feed Excel isn't going to take into consideration pasture issues. So that is what my plan is to do the Paddock Paradise system. Oh yeah, 50% off. You know what? I have an obsession, Paula. You'd have them overseas too, Sarah Becker. But Paula, do you have the slow feeder hay nets? I've got a bit obsessive with Gutsbuster. They've got a special on Gutsbuster in Australia. Gutsbuster have 10% off for the horse's birthday. And I've purchased so many slow feeder hay nets. I've got all these points. I love the slow feeder hay nets. So now I'm trying the different holes. And this is a really good idea. Yeah, Gutsbuster are great. I've got the knotless ones. Do you have the knotless? Do you do, Sarah Becker, have you got the slow feeder hay nets? I've got the knotted, but because they've, I've got knotless as well. Yeah, and what's really good you can do with the Paddock Paradise system is because of all the different sizes. You did Feed Excel, perfect, Sarah Becker, that's great. And if you're not grazing on lush pasture, it shouldn't affect the diet. But with the slow feeder hay nets, and I've got a bit of an obsession happening, and I'm going to message her actually because I've got some really good videos of my horses eating out of the 3 centimeter hole. So yeah, so here what we call, and this, it's called a slow feeder hay nut, Sarah Becker. It's got the smaller holes. Let me show you. And it slows down. So your hay net with the big holes, they can eat through the hay fast, depending on how big your horse, how much. I hang some and put the ground sometimes everywhere. Yeah, well, so the slow feeder hay nets stop wastage of hay for a start. I'll Google it. I'll get Gutsbuster up because I'm on there all the time. So this is Gutsbuster. Sarah Becker, you'd have one on overseas, but this is Gutsbuster, 10% off horse's birthday. But see how the slow feeder hay nets have the smaller holes? You've got 6 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 3 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. So let me just go into, and so I got, quite a few years ago, I was on a property where I had no feed at all. So I was putting out 15 big slow feeder hay nets for my horses morning and night. And geez, they did well. It just reminds me of how well they did when they weren't on green pasture. So let me just show you. Here we go. We'll go the medium size. See if I can get a photo up. Can I save the photo? I'll just take. So here is, oh yeah, I've been putting little bits of, what a great idea, hide little bits of carrots in them. You can do that. I've been putting, because I've run out of the haylage, been putting little bits of Fiber Protect in them. So there's the slow feeder hay net. So you see how the holes are smaller than your regular hay net. So this allows the horse to follow their natural grazing system. I learnt about the slow feeder hay nets when my horse Toby had laminitis, so I had to soak his hay and he have ad lib hay all day and take small bits. So the smaller the holes, the harder, it takes they can't take as much out. So what I found, so I've got all different size holes. So this is a 3 centimeter hole one. So you can see how the holes would be 3 centimeters on this hay net. You can go, so see here, this is a gut buster. The mesh size you've got here, I can't know if you can see it, 4 centimeters, it's probably blurry, 3 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. So having off the track thoroughbreds, you generally stick with a bigger hole because it take a while to eat out of the slow feeder hay nets, thoroughbred horses off the tracks, because they do, some training stables have the big slow feeder hay nets now, but generally they don't eat out of slow feeder hay nets. And I noticed they were going through their haylage, the green loose and soft haylage, out of the 4 centimeter holes really fast. So I've actually purchased 2 3 centimeter holes, and even Tommy, God bless him, who's lost his front teeth because of the big head and all this calcium deficiency, I thought, I don't think he's going to be able to eat out of the 3 centimeter holes. So I trialed him, and he, even with his lips, he can actually pull out the haylage, the soft haylage. So I'm on a guts buster frenzy with buying hay nets. Now I'm trialing the 2 centimeter holes because I'm aiming for the Paddock Paradise system to be able to put their really nice soft haylage in so they don't consume it so fast. But yeah, you can put your slow feeder hay nets, you can put out all day, and they basically have ad lib. I would weigh, and I still do weigh my hay net. So I'll fill up the hay net and I'll weigh it. So your horse needs to have at least, off the track thoroughbreds, 2 to 2.5% of their body weight in forage a day. So you're looking at a 500 kilo horse, you're looking at your 10 kilos of hay a day they need to eat. Forage, your fiber. So you can see how the green grass is just going to be full of water, and it's not only going to not provide their forage because of the water content in it, but they're just going to consume all the sugars in it instead. So yeah, that's great, Paulie. You hide little bits of carrot in them. You can be really creative, and I think combining the slow, and also too, they recommend mixing different types of hay, so keeping it a variety for them. I'm a little bit wary of just feeding pasture hay. I like to feed, I'm feeding Rhodes to make sure that it's low sugar, low starch. And then they've got their haylage, which is their lucerne hay, as a different source of fiber. So yeah, I don't really know. I don't really feel confident at the moment giving them any other types of hay. But they seem pretty happy. They get their hard feed as well, their lupins and their fiber protect and that. And they're still on a bit of pasture at the moment till I get everything organised. But I think the Paddock Paradise system, where you're creating a track and then having slow feeder hay nets. And as I was going to say, with the guts buster or any hay nets, you can get the big hay nets that will hold a whole bale. So on a Paddock Paradise system, you could actually sit out whole bales, around the place, or even big round bales. I've got the big round bale as slow feeder hay nets as well. They cover the whole round bale. Let me see if I can find it here. Round bale hay net. So I've got one of those as well. I've got a knotted one. Knotless. Oh, see, this is a square one. So you can see how a big square bale is covered in a hay net. So that's let me see. That's the large square ones. Let's see if we've got knotted. The round bale. Well, that's a square one. Let me see if I can find the round bale ones. Anyway, round bale. There we go. So there's a round bale. I see how the horses are at it, and it's got the net around it. And I've had it around round. The only thing I find with my round bales is I have to have a lot of them because I have so many horses. Some will hog the round bale and the others won't get near it. So I really need a variety. I actually find having the large or the medium-sized guts buster hay nets and really packing them full. I can fit about 6 kilos in one medium guts buster hay net of hay. So I keep water separate from food. Well, that makes them also walk over to the water as well. And also not putting I had mouthfuls of food. I used to have a horse that used to just dong mouthfuls of food in the water. So anyway, that is that's my plan. With my solution with the pasture with the horses is creating a Paddock Paradise system and using the slow feeder hay nets. So you make sure that they walk. So that's right, Sarah Becker, making sure that they walk around, not having everything in just one spot. And you can see how detrimental it is for horses that live in stalls and stables, that they can't roam. It's, at the least, if you've got horses in stables, well, that's the racehorse's life. So it also shows how they're going to need to adapt. They come out and they go into a paddock. So they're not always, they definitely don't know how to eat out of slow feeder hay nets unless they've already done it in racing. But it's detrimental on all levels for them to be in a small enclosed area, not only because they don't get to wander and move, and it's not good for their blood circulation, it's not good for their feet. But I think what we can do is, when we take them off the track, is be aware that they're going into a new environment, and then to learn more and then find out, my struggle with this whole pasture thing has now led me on to this. And I'm excited, actually. I'm excited, even though I have struggled horribly with the pasture. I'm excited to sort of get a Paddock Paradise system up, and then be able to share that when I get that together as well. And it just goes to show, looking at all this green lush grass, which I thought was wonderful, is actually not wonderful at all. And I think it's not. It's definitely something that is not widely known when it comes to horses and diet. A lot of people just think, oh, they're fine on green lush grass, but it's not widely spoken about in equine nutrition either, unless you have laminitic, like horses that are prone to laminitis, and then we know to keep them off the green grass. But generally, the whole mineral deficiencies, the fructan in it, the types of pasture is not widely discussed. So I think learning more about that is only going to be beneficial for so many horses out there. And that's why I want to get Jenny on. So any questions, or will I leave it there? What I'll do is I wonder if I can do a poll. I'll get a post up, and I'll put it. I'll actually put it up. When I finish this live, I'll go and make another coffee. And any topics you want to, you're welcome, Paul. I hope that helps. I think it's pretty exciting. Like, let's share our Paddock Paradise systems. But when I put a post up, let me know what topics you'd like Jenny to talk about. You can go and have a look on her website, Calm Healthy Horses, and then come back to me, or just, we already know what we're struggling with, but what would you like her to start off with? Give her something to start with. And then in the webinar, we can have a Q&A, and then we can give her some ideas on what to speak to in her next session. Okay, I might leave it there. I'll pop this Q&A. I'll do a replay. Now, I haven't got last week's because I got sick again. I swear, I feel so fatigued. I'm on spirulina now. So I'm sure I'll start to feel much better once the spirulina kicks in. But I've got to get the replay for last week's Q&A up because it was a screen shared and I had some issues. So it's up there, but I just need to put a cover, little thingy on it, because we talked a lot about the pasture and went through the website. So I'll get that up today as well. Give you an update on what I've got happening. I've got my website's just going through a redo at the moment, redoing my website. I have the retraining series with Ty. I'm transferring that from where it was in the community to my online course platform. So it's going to be set out in the same way that the KICKSTART roadmap, soil qualities. Okay, awesome. I'll get her to talk about that. So the retraining with Ty series is going to go into the same format as the KICKSTART roadmap, course, and I've got a retraining with Nina coming up as well. So I've actually started videoing Nina's retraining as well. So my plan is to video and all the horses, their retraining process, and they're also different, and have separate so retraining with Ty, retraining with Nina, and following through. And then you can see how I approach the same concept of retraining the basic responses, but it's going to apply to different horses. So you'll see how training stop and go with Ty is so different than training stop and go with Nina, though I'm teaching the same thing. So that's my plan. Just to let you know, my plan is to have online courses and training series for each individual horse. With retraining with Ty, I've got the lessons where you're learning how horses learn. And I'm also going to be doing a weekly Zoom. I just need to change the platform over. So lots coming up. I'm really slow. I'm so sorry. I'm just slow with getting organized. I've also been very stressed with my horses being sick. Seriously, it's quite stressful financially. It was really stressful as well. So I've got, and I haven't been, my YouTube channel, I've got lots of videos coming up. I just have been a little bit behind the 8 ball with it all, because I've had a lot of financial struggles, which has, it's starting to resolve now, which is really good. But I had to buy, so I'm in a lot better financial position now. Thanks, Paula. It's been hard. It's been hard from transitioning, like sort of giving up track work, which was a really important income source for me, to like, oh my God. So I went into a bit of panic mode, but it's really good. I've got a business grant, which was really good. So that's been wonderful. That's coming through. I haven't got that yet, but that will come through. And I had to buy, so just such a big outlay. I bought 6 months worth of Cal Extra, Conky's Own Cal Extra. I thought I just need to buy it all, so I got it for them, because having 20 horses, 19, I've got 19 at the moment. Don't tell anyone, but there's a 20th spot there waiting for that special OTTB that needs help. Yeah, I've got all my horses on a rehab program. So I've been a little bit sad and overwhelmed by seeing my horses so sick. But once again, it's a learning curve, and I'm going to document. I've got such a wonderful opportunity to document everything. So I take my tripod down with the horses every day. And I video so much. So it's just a matter of being organized and getting it into their courses and everything. So I'm getting there. So be patient with me, but it will be worth the wait, because lots of content. Okay, I might leave it there. I'll pop something up today in the group and on Facebook with regards to organizing a webinar with limestone flour. Oh, limestone flour for oh, yeah, for calcium. I tried that. Not good. Yeah, it didn't work. And this is interesting as well. The Conky's Own, by far, literally they changed within 3 days. So now that's the thing, because I got the calcium carbonate, which is limestone flour. It wasn't as palatable for them. They didn't consume, they would leave bits of it. Also too, the calcium, and this is what the Conky's Own Cal Extra isn't actually that expensive, but I had them on the calcium carbonate and big head was still coming. So isn't that interesting? So they still had calcium deficiency. So I rang up Conky's Own, and they've been wonderful. They've got equine nutritionists. So they've Conky's Own are fantastic. They've been wonderful for me. Really, really helpful. They've sent me out complimentary products. So they sent me out a complimentary calcium carbonate, Cal Extra. I started at 1. The horses love it. 2, he has the exact combination. So for calcium to be absorbed, it needs phosphorus. The calcium. Now let's talk about this topic. The calcium phosphorus level. Let me do a topic. So what I found out was really important. Calcium is not going to be absorbed without the correct calcium phosphorus level. I know, it's really interesting. So that's why I was going, and also magnesium. So I bought calcium carbonate, and I also bought magnesium oxide, and I was feeding it, but it wasn't doing anything. So I'm going to talk, let's do a topic on calcium phosphorus ratio. This was a big learning curve for me. You wouldn't think my horses would need phosphorus with all this extra one. Anyway, I actually noticed that their energy levels with my horses increased within 3 days. They started looking better. Now, you also have to remember the calcium phosphorus ratio. If they're low in calcium, and it's going to affect soundness. So my horses, and Jenny talks about this, they looked unsound, very stiff behind, clicking joints. I've got clicking joints. So calcium carbonate did not work out for me, even though I did try it. You've got also too, I think vitamin E is in there. It's everything has to be, and I think this is what Jenny also mentions, Jenny from Calm Healthy Horses. Everything is like, has to be, it's not, I'm getting the mental blank, not fine-tuned, but in perfect ratio. Everything has to be in ratio for the minerals to work. So it's like, I suppose holistic. I've got the word, I can't think about it. So if something's out of balance, it's going to put something, it's exactly the same with us. Yeah. For instance, I have to have magnesium. I get quite low in magnesium, and my muscles cramp up if I haven't got it. But it is exactly the same with us. And me, myself, I have a particular gene which affects vitamin Bs from not being absorbed. And I know that for me, everything, I see an equine nutritionist. I don't see an equine nutritionist. I see an equine nutritionist for my equines. I see a clinical nutritionist for myself. And it's amazing since I've been addressing that with myself, how much better I feel. But it's the same with, as you said, it's the same with us as it is with horses. And it's so important for their diet to be right on all levels, not only with their vitamins and mineral balance, but also, their gut is so sensitive, and how pasture is such a big issue with problems with horses. Anyway, okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I will pop this up in the group today, and also I'll get a post up and put up a thing on who would like to have a webinar with Jenny Patterson from Calm Healthy Horses. So, okay, I will see you later. See you, Paula. See you, Sarah Becca. And excited about this Paddock Paradise system. We'll get Jenny to talk about that as well. Okay, see ya.